Hey guys, it's Nique and Ress, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we are talking about jumping back into the dating pool.
Yeah. So today's episode, we're basically talking about getting back in there, jumping full force back into dating pool after you had a break or after you had a dry spell or any previous thing that made you say, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Or simply just having a dry spell. So we're just gonna have a little talk about that. Do you have anything to share about this topic?
Yeah, I definitely took a break from dating, and getting back into it is very nerve-wracking, I guess. It's scary. It's scary once you get used to your own comfort and you get used to I feel like when people break up or you stop dating, the hard part is getting used to like not talking to somebody every day, or in the way that you used to with a partner. Not having you're like a go-to person for your Saturday or whatever, whatever, whatever. But the thing is, like, once you get comfortable with it, it's really hard to break it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just decided to go back into dating. And like the hard part for me is like I don't be feeling like talking to folks.
Yeah.
Like people try and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna text. And then I don't have it. I no longer, it takes energy for me to
Mm-hmm.
be with people. And I'm just like, I mean, yeah, I could talk to this person, or like I could not talk at all. And not talking at all sounds like really fun right now. What about you?
Yeah, for me, it's scary. Recently, I guess I had like situations recently when I got involved and your emotions get involved, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to go back to not talking to, like you said, not talking to anybody or not talking to that person often. And it's just like, now I gotta figure out how to do this again, not talking to nobody, but then getting back into it. For me, I don't even think I want to get back into it right now because it just kind of scares me. Like before, I feel like I didn't care as much. I don't know if it's because I'm older or what, but now it's like a lot of energy that goes into it, and I don't want to share that energy with just anybody anymore. So
Yeah.
it's just like I can't waste any more time. So it's scary to like try to even figure it out. And like
Yeah.
you said, it's just irritating when you're really not into it. And it's like, bro, can you stop messaging me? Can you stop texting me? So it's just like, hey, sis, you need to take a break because you went for one. I'm not like now. I have fears of being hurt. I never had that fear. Like before I had my child, I guess I
Mm-hmm.
never had a fear of being hurt. I mean, I did get hurt in one sense, but after that, it was just like whatever. But now it's just like, oh, this is a more serious thing now. I have a child. I'm older, and I am a person that would like to be married one day. So it's hard to like just jump back in there and knowing like the risk that I had to take now.
I think that's definitely a thing. I think especially when it comes with age. I think when you're younger, I always had a fear of like getting too deeply involved. I think mine was just more unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just me not really deep diving with folks, not really letting folks get to know me that well, not really allowing myself to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can't say that for everybody. There has been people I have been vulnerable for, but for the most part, it was something I just really didn't do. And
Mm-hmm.
now I think because of the age we're at, because of the stage we're at in our life, casually dating just does not seem interesting. It's like I have enough mundane things in my life
Exactly.
that I don't want to add to it. I'm fine with the things that are just surface level
Mm-hmm.
already. So if you want to come into my life now, it has to be deep. It has to be passionate. It has to be meaningful. It has to be like you applying some real
Intentional.
pressure. It has to be
Yeah, like
intentional.
intentional. Yeah, like you're willing to work. And it's you
Uh,
said that you weren't vulnerable. Like before, I was so vulnerable because I don't feel like I care. That's bad because I would tell them like a lot of stuff. Like I would be so open, but that didn't mean that I
but
wanted to.
you bounce back quickly in the past. Like in the past, you bounce back
Yeah.
quickly. That was the thing. Like you would love and you would be open and caring and just so sweet. And then afterwards, you'd be like, oh, well, I can give this love
Yeah.
to somebody else. And you would just like hop along like a Disney character. And I was so much more like a DC character. Like I was dark and very Batman. Like, and now I got to pop my revenge on him. So, like,
Yeah, I definitely was like a Disney princess, like da da da. It would happen with the right Prince
Yeah.
Charming. Like, yeah, I guess that's what it is. But now it's just like, no, I have no time for that. Like,
Mhm.
I'll become the wicked witch of like, what do you mean? Like, no, I don't. I don't have time. Like, no. So it
Uh,
has been a switch up for me. And I mean, it could be traumas of my life that caused this, but it's just like I can't waste time anymore. And I always say that. And I don't know if that kind of pushed some guys. Well, it'll push the wrong guys away, I guess.
yeah.
Because the right one wouldn't run from a commitment, you know.
Yeah, but also I want to say I don't think it was like traumas. I feel like that's the healthy way to date. Like you are like, I'm willing to be open, I'm willing to be vulnerable, and if it doesn't work, oh man, that hurts, but I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna move on. Like that's a secure attachment. That is exactly what is supposed to happen when things don't work.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be like in the back of the classroom plotting like that.
Well, like the little ego phase, like
Look.
it works. Yes, yeah. I guess you're right. But
So that's the healthy way. I mean, so when it comes to like, okay, getting back into the dating pool, being ready to date, I think the first thing to do is to like, one, be sure you are ready to date. Why are we getting back into the dating pool? Are we getting back into the dating pool because we want to hurry up and get over our ex and we think somebody else will make it better? Are we getting into the dating pool again because we don't want to be alone and we're just like, I'm lonely, another person will solve that loneliness? Are we just getting back into the dating pool because like we figured, well, I'm at that age, I'm supposed to be married, so let me go ahead and do this? Or are you getting back into it because you're like, you know what, I feel like trying again? Because here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with actually having like being able to say like, I am lonely, I want another person. That makes sense. That's usually a part of why we want to date.
I agree with that, but then I also agree with the healing part. Like, don't do it because you're lonely. You can tell the person like, I'm not looking for something, but you can't say that and then your actions tell different. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the main thing. I told you, but what were your actions showing? So I kind of feel it's better for you to be in a healed, or if that person says, no, I'm actually looking for a relationship, for you to bow out at the beginning instead of, oh, okay, you were looking for a relationship, but I'm just lonely. Come on and hang out. Like,
yeah.
I
But
think
I think
everybody needs to
that's
be on the
all.
same page.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. But also going back to be on the same page, I know like there's a lot of times where people like come to it and they're like, I don't know what I want. And then one person's like, well, I know what I want. And they still keep dating. Like that's on both of them at that point.
Yeah, it is.
It's on both parties at that point because like you said, even if the person who was like, I don't know what I want starts acting like they do want it,
they can
if
still say that.
they can still like, you know, that wasn't their original intention and they can switch up. Yeah. And you made a decision of like, okay, I'm gonna take this gamble.
Yeah, I agree. And it's and I don't ever think it's good to take that gamble. Ever.
I mean, if you're willing to have fun and you're okay with that and you know like, oh, okay, I bounce back quickly, okay. But like if you watch Snapped on, you know, if you watch Snapped and you like, she's smart. Like if your thoughts go that way, don't do that. Don't think these people who don't know what they want. I feel like you are too close to the edge and it's not gonna end well. That's not for you.
Watching out a Snap and ID, yeah.
All right. So what do you think is a good reason to like date again?
I think like you said, like you're actually are ready. I think that's the best reason. Like you're ready for something serious, or you reach things in your life that you wanted to accomplish, and it's like, what am I missing? I'm ready to find that with somebody. I feel like I did enough work. I would do more work, but you feel like you're enough healed to go find somebody else, and you're open to it. So I think that's a good reason to start. Or that you're starting on your healing journey, you're just more open to it. But I feel you should be open to it. I don't like the limbo situation of just being lonely.
Oh yeah.
I don't, but yeah.
I think it should be more than being lonely, but I think, you know, it's unrealistic to act like
everybody needs
you can't. Yeah, it's unrealistic to act like you can't be lonely. That means you're not healed enough. Like, no, humans want connection.
That's not, we all want companionship. Yeah.
It makes sense. I also think even for those who are casual daters, maybe you just got a long-term relationship, you've been healing, and now you want to get back out there, but you don't necessarily want a commitment. I feel like that is okay as well, as long as you are sure in that. And what I mean sure in that is like, I had to tell somebody this earlier last week. Not everybody is meant to be a hot girl. Not everybody's meant to be a city girl. And there's like a wave. And like me and you laugh about it, me and you joke about it. But me and you really were hot girls for a second there. Like that was
Girl,
definitely
I had my days. We
yeah.
definitely did.
But
And it was fun, but
but I was like saying, like, not everybody's meant for that. Not everybody has that. Not everybody. For some people, it's just a period of your life. Like there was a period in your life where like that's what you were on and it worked for you, but it doesn't mean that's the period you're in now. And don't force yourself to do that. So I am not against casual dating. I think it has a place. I think that you can learn from it and so forth. But I also think that people need to be honest with themselves and see if that's something that they can do.
yeah. Because
Um,
everybody can't. I agree.
yeah, and sometimes you can for only again a period. You might go through something in your life. You might get to a certain age, a certain stage. For me, like I finally got to a point in my life where I was like, I crave intensity, and you can't have intensity with casual people. I crave passion. I crave, um, I crave those type of things in romantic relations.
Intimacy for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I crave intimacy, and you can't have like that type of real intimacy, or at least I can't with casual people. And being honest with myself about that and being like, okay, so when I date, it can't be for play.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was a time. It was a time, it was your energy. And then when you get the fake, it's just like, for me, it turns my whole mood around. Like, this ain't real and I'm tired of it. It just messing my mood up. I'm like with you, I crave those things there. Like, it can't be fake at all. Like, I can't go through the emotions because I get angry. So
Oh yeah.
I turn into the
Oh,
angry one.
it definitely brings out a very ugly side of me. We're not gonna mention names, but you're gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. There was a person in my life who, like, because they always wanted to create these like fake intimate moments with me, I was just so mean to them. Like and I'm not a mean person when I date. I'm like super sweet and chill usually. Like I don't, because I shut down a lot of times when I get angry now. So like you usually don't have a lot of anything after 25. You don't really have, okay, 26. You're not gonna have a lot of stories of like, she was wild and blah 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 in that sort of sense. But this person was just always trying to create these like moments of like, let's stare in each other's eyes and hold each other's hand and talk about the future. And I'm like, bro, that's not what this is. You know that's not what it is.
That's not what
I
it is
know
right
that
now.
we have absolutely nothing in common emotionally. Let's not pretend. Let's not. But the more they push it, like I would get mean, like real mean. Like sometimes I think back and I'm like, yo, what was that about? And I realized, like, you know what? Because you really resent that fake shit. You really resent that, like, oh, let's just pretend. It's like my emotions get mad at me. Like, don't try to fool me.
I don't have time for this, sis. You don't either. Yeah.
Now, I also think when you start to date, it's good to, when you're like, okay, I'm about to start dating again, to also make sure you occupy your time with other things and don't just throw your full attention into dating, especially if you're like, I want to date for marriage, I want to date for commitment. I feel like don't make it such a priority where that's the only thing you have in your schedule: work, sleep, date, find husband, find wife, because it can come off desperate when that's the only thing you're focusing on, versus when you have other things to occupy your time with. Like, okay, and I'm still learning myself. Now that I'm single again, I'm going to rediscover what single rest is like. I'm going to rediscover what just hanging with my girls, going on a date night with my girls is like. Occupy your time, having those other things in there, because when you just make your whole life about, I got to find my mate, it could come off desperate, and people sense that. And even the people who are also looking for commitment, it can turn them off because, again, it doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, like, you still have to know who you are outside of the relationship, because that
Mm-hmm.
relationship can never be your whole thing. It
Mm-hmm.
adds to it. You can work together, you can build together, but you still got to have yourself. And you still got to know who that self is. I know, like, I had a conversation with, like, somebody I used to talk to, and he was saying that somebody in his past just, like, stopped trying to find things that made her happy and just, like, focus on the family or focus on him. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, you could lose your whole identity in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common that happens. So,
But not only that, I feel like it's common for people too, when they're focusing so much on dating, like, okay, I'm gonna find my husband this year, find my wife this year, I'm gonna blah blah blah. And when things don't work out, they take it a lot harder because that's the only thing they're focusing on. Versus like, okay, this was a bad date, or okay, we went on 3 dates. The first 2 were great, but he really showed his ass this last time. And you can just be like, girl, whatever. I'm about to go home. I'm a journal. I'm gonna go around, run in Piedmont Park tomorrow. And, you have other things that you can look forward to. Other things, it's easier to brush it off versus when the whole time you're like, it's supposed to be Prince Charming. It's not him. You wasted 3 dates on him and 3 good outfits, blah, blah. Like, it can consume you. And so it's good to have things to balance you out.
I also feel like you can do that, and then you can just not see the red flags because you want to make that person Prince Charming, and they're not. So you're just like, he's here, he's giving me attention, he's giving me energy. I mean, he's nice sometimes, but I don't like this. But you don't even really see the things you don't like because you want your own ambition to get that what you want, and that can, like, cloud your vision altogether.
Well, I mean, not only the red flag parts, but it's making me think about, like, sometimes when you find a good person, whether it's you find a good girl, you find a good guy, but they're just not your person. Like, you find them attractive, you enjoy their company, you like talking to them, I guess. Like, the fact of the matter is, if they left tomorrow, like, it really wouldn't phase you. It really, like, they're just okay. And I think sometimes, especially if you had bad dating experience, you meet a person who's like a really good person on paper and they're okay. You don't mind them. Sometimes that leads into that whole settling thing of, like, being like, I mean, this is cool. And again, for some people, they're like, that's okay. And I can do that. And trust me, I have tried to do that myself before, where I met a good person. They were really, really great. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to force myself to love them because they're so great, knowing that, like, it wasn't that spark, it wasn't that thing. And again, that can also turn into resentment. But also, and this is just my own belief, this isn't, like, backed by science, but there is something so dynamic about love that sparks something in you. A love that you don't have to force. Like, you see them and you can just see a halo of light glowing around them because you're just like, look at my baby.
Yes. And when you have that feeling, girl,
right?
It is, girl.
Right? Like I was saying, specifically at our age, when you meet somebody that makes you giddy as a 30-year-old, like, like, why do you have me smiling at my phone and twisting my hair, sir?
Yeah.
Like, I am grown. I got to run a meeting in 5 minutes. This is not okay. But it's something that's like, beautiful about that. And I think that you shouldn't give up on that, especially if it's something you want and you just like, well, it's taking too long and I just want someone now. I would recommend not doing that, because I do think that that type of love is out there and it is so fucking amazing when you have it. And when you settle in one area, it affects all areas.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. And yeah, like when you said that, I remember with my late fiance, like the moment I was like, you gonna be my man. Like I just like the way you was looking, I was like, yeah, you gonna be my man. Like, why ain't we together right now? Like, we just had a feeling. And like, it's a good feeling. It's like, for it to do the fake stuff, that's why I think I get so mad with the fake stuff, because I'm like, this isn't the real thing. I know how it feels and it don't feel like this. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you never felt that, it's worth finding that feeling. It's
Oh,
really worth
yeah.
it.
I'm thinking like the last time I met somebody and I had that type of feeling for, like, same, like I definitely was like, I cannot cook, but I'm about to burn all the pots in your kitchen. I'm gonna try.
Right.
I'm gonna get some heels and I'm gonna look cute and I'm gonna just walk around stirring water for you because I just want to make you so happy. You make me so happy. Like I remember like being in meetings and like smiling at my phone and people being like, okay, so we in court, Ress. If you could put your phone down, like I remember getting that feeling. I remember like before that, it had not happened in like years, like a decade. And it reawoken something in me. Like when you haven't had that in a while, or if you never experienced it, everything like meeting okay and like no sparks seems okay. You're just like, I mean, I'm having fun, new adventures. But then when you get that person that gives you that spark, it's like, oh, wait, this is why people write songs about people? Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This is why we have ID investigate? Okay. Okay. Like
I
I
get
didn't
it. I get
like I'm
it.
not gonna kill nobody, but like I can see how feelings can get very intense.
Yes.
Anyways. All right. So, okay, we're out here. We're saying we're going to date. Now you're healed. You are already finding other things to occupy your time. So you're dating, but you don't have to date with an obsessiveness. What's next?
I think the next thing to do is just be intentional and be selective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't think just because old dude on the street at Walmart called you and said, "Hey, girl, I want your number." You gotta give it to him because you don't.
Mm-hmm. You really don't.
If that's not the type, like, don't do that. Just like, oh well, I am single. Okay, but that's not what you want. Like, just be selective about what you want. I'm not saying have a list with 5,000 things, but don't accept things that you would normally not just because you're single or just because you're looking. Be like exclusive for what you want. Be purposeful with what your pickings and what you decide to like let in.
Yeah, when I think about it, like the whole be selective thing, my thing is like pacing yourself. Like you don't have to jump in and give your number to every guy on Bumble. You don't have to have a date every Saturday. You don't have to, like, even with your time, pace yourself. Like you don't have to rush everything. Now, if it comes and it's naturally like going a pace that you guys both agree with, that's cool. But like you don't have to be like, well, let me get back in on all the action I missed this last year. And so now you ODing on people. Like you got a new date every other day. Pace yourself. Like it's especially when you new to date is sometimes when you take a break from dating, things change. And then you come back and you be like, girl, like, okay, for example, like again, there was a point in time, me and Nique were both engaged at the same time. We're both planning our weddings at the same time. We had our kids together at the same time. It was not planned out, but all this is going on at the same time. And then so we entered the single world together around the same time. And I remember like me and her have talked about this on the show before. Like finding out dudes are like lying about their whole existence. And I mean, men have always done that. But I mean, like, especially because I'm in Atlanta, and especially like dudes will come and pick you up in a car that they rented specifically for that night to impress you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dudes lying about their jobs and saying, yeah, no, I work for GBI and I am getting my master's in this and this and that. And that boy don't know a single law, can't tell you the price of a parking ticket. All this stuff. And like that was like a normal thing. And because when I first moved to Atlanta, I was already in a relationship. Like I wasn't used to it.
Yeah.
So I remember like going back into the dating world and being like, hold on, wait a minute. Y'all hiding whole kids out here? y'all,
Some be
y'all
whole ass married.
whole
Yeah.
marriages. Yeah.
Girl.
So yeah, that's another thing. Just like pace yourself because again, some things in the dating world may have changed, and you might not be familiar with that. Take it slow. Don't get familiar with what the dating landscape is like now. Another thing is like when before you could still do apps, but you were still meeting people in person. Like
Yeah,
dudes were
before we got engaged, that's where I met everybody I dated in
mm-hmm,
person. In person.
mm-hmm.
I met no one on an app. So when coming back into it, trying to do an app world, I was like, I don't really want to do that. I didn't like you found more success in it than me,
Yeah,
but I just wasn't comfortable with it. I didn't know how to do it really like successfully.
yeah.
But
But
yeah,
also we were
I
in
took a
different
dip.
markets. Like dating in Atlanta versus dating in Ohio is gonna be
It's
very
different.
different on apps.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
gonna
I'm sure if I was in Atlanta, it would have been way different.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. As a
Like
woman in Atlanta, if you are at
yeah,
least a solid four, there's no way you can get on Tinder and not have at least 500 matches by lunch. Like there's no way.
yeah, yeah. If I was down there, it'd be a different story. That is true, but it's still hard to do apps for me.
Oh yeah, I'm still much more a in-person person.
Mhm.
Or like yeah, or like there's a reason why we're already talking.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, maybe there's business, there's contracts we got to sign. I'm emailing you
Mhm.
back and forth because for me actually though, you're saying apps, but my thing was I always get people to hit on me on social media
Mhm.
or like start to like have conversations with me on social media, or guys who see me in person figure out my social media and then hit me up and be like, yeah, I be seeing you in the courtrooms. I'm like, hold on. You also work at for the county, like having that whole combo, and then
Yeah,
realizing like, oh
yeah.
man, me and him are on the same place every Thursday.
Mhm.
So mine definitely was social media for a very long time, but now like my social media is super tight and closed down, so that's not happening. But like I definitely now prefer in person, or like there's already a reason when you have to talk. There's already a reason.
Mhm.
I mean, you are already in the same place,
Mhm.
we are already working on the same thing or something like that, because also I think it's one, I realize I don't know how to flirt anymore, so that's the biggest thing.
Me either.
I have
Me.
no, and I used to be really good at it, really good.
Girl, my eye contact was everything. It's like, did I even have confidence to do that anymore? I go turn around, make the look like you see me, I see you. You see me, come and get my number. That's all. That's what my eyes said in like a second. But not anymore. No, no, no. Are you looking at me, or you just need some bread behind me? Like I don't even have no type of
Girl,
confidence in my flirting anymore.
same, like I can't do it. Somebody was trying to flirt with me recently and I knew that's what they were doing. I was like, cool, flirt back, and I couldn't. And I was like, okay, but like how? And I was like, right, I did forget that part. I like your hair. I
Okay.
like that it is lined up and neat. Sid. Like I was really struggling. I was just like, you
Girl,
know how
I
to, but
don't
it's something
even.
that's been on off mode for like a while now.
And you say that I
Or
don't
was on
think
off
you.
mode for a while. Mm-hmm.
I don't even think you were struggling as bad as I was. Like this guy, I think I told you this guy even like literally tried to start a conversation. That started a conversation. He said something smelled good. He was like, "I think it's you." Like he would do little flirty sip. I was,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not saying nothing back. Like no words would come out my mouth to say like
This is
interact,
the food truck
interact,
guy.
huh?
This is the food truck guy.
Yes, he was like, yes, he had things I liked. I like things. He was working with the children. He was in the community. He was looking nice. He was smelling good.
Look, but
But
remember when I was at the baseball and
yeah,
I was
that's
at
what
the
I said.
stadium?
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. So I'm not doing better because I definitely I was like, oh, he's cute. And then I text you. Like that was going to solve it. Like that was
Same thing I did for you.
like,
Like I just see this really cute guy. I hope I see him again. Never seen him again in my life.
right, right.
If I ever see him, it's like, oh, it was meant. Do you remember me?
Look,
Yes, it's hard out here. I'll tell you that.
it is definitely hard out here. I don't even know. I don't know. I think a part of it too, like there's something about flirting at this stage of my life that feels like goofy to me.
Mhm.
And I don't
Mhm.
know if it is because of age. I don't know if it's because, again, it's just a muscle I have not flexed in a while.
Yeah.
But there's definitely something, because I remember like sitting there trying to come back up with like a flirt back, and me just sitting there like, don't say that. That sounds really goofy. That sounds really
Mhm.
immature.
And how do I just was like, how did I do it before? I don't even remember. But I used to be like a big flirt, but I
Right?
don't have it in me. I don't
Right?
know. It's being a mom. I don't know what it is. Been out the game for a while. Don't know. but I don't like it at all.
Yeah, same. Okay, so going back in with that, I think that goes back to something we talk about every episode, which is learning how to also check in with your feelings. Like, if we're going to go back into dating, then we need to get real with our feelings and feeling our feelings. If you're getting out there and you're like, oh my gosh, flirting feels uncomfortable. Okay, why? Why does this now feel uncomfortable to us? Or I'm not enjoying this. Okay, why am I not enjoying this? Instead of trying to push yourself into enjoying that. Because that's definitely a thing too, where we feel uncomfortable and then we tell ourselves, well, I just haven't been out there in a while and I just haven't, this is me self-sabotaging, this is me blah, 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 blah. And sometimes it can be that, but sometimes it's not that. Check in with yourself. It's just a matter of like, oh, I think I'm just self-sabotaging with this guy. Yeah. He's really nice. And I don't know why I'm not texting him back. And yes, it could be that, or it could just be a matter of like, this is your brain and your body, your feelings telling you, girl, you just do not like him. And instead of trying to force yourself out there because, oh, this is just me being shy. This is just, no, maybe it's just that like you're not attracted to him and he keeps picking his teeth with his credit card and he is very loud and rude to the waiter and you just don't like him. Or maybe it's not all those things. Maybe he's like a genuinely great guy, but there's just not a feeling or a connection. But you are telling yourself like, no, I'm gonna push through. I think this is just cold feet. I think it's just, no, stop and really examine it. Don't assume it's just cold feet. Don't assume that, oh, what is this feelings that I'm getting from him? Is this butterflies? I really like him. Sis, think about it. Really examine it, because maybe it's butterflies or maybe he's giving you an anxiety. That's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Stop, check in with your feelings, explore them, and let that be a part of you starting to date consciously. Well, another thing with checking into your feelings could be is if you're having major fears about dating, right? Let's say you keep telling yourself, I'm going to jump into the dating pool. I'm ready to date again. And then you create a Tinder profile, you get on Bumble, and then you delete it after an hour.
Okay.
Or you get somebody in your feelings with somebody and you are like, okay, I'm going to give this guy my number. And then you just like stop texting him out of nowhere. This is another part of like checking in with your feelings as well, because there's some fear around there. And I think it can be good and healthy for you to figure out what that fear is instead of just moving past it and being like, well, I'll be fine. I'll eventually did it. It'll just have to eventually go away. No, check out what that is.
And understanding your feelings around it, you know. Did I feel that way? Or just listening to your body, or Mars is my intuition. It's telling me like, sis, this ain't the time, or it's just not what you really want. And just try to dig deeper into understanding why.
I know for me, when this came up for me, and this is when I first was like, okay, I'm not dating anymore. I'm going to take a break from dating. I'm going to take a break from my whole love life. When I did that, for me, I was having a lot of anxiety with dating. I still had people there. I still was dating some folks. I had some people still calling, whatever. And all of a sudden I started having some fear. I did not like going on dates anymore. I was having a whole bunch of stuff going on. And for me, when I really sat with my feelings to figure out what it was like, okay, I realized like I needed to heal some intimacy fears I had. I had to heal some intimacy trauma that I had. I had to sit there and go back to like, hey, why is it that we keep having this reoccurring pattern happen in dating? And because we have this reoccurring pattern in dating, we keep doing certain things that are attracting certain people that are putting us in certain situations. And you either going to continue with that and drain yourself, or we can sit and heal this. It was like a big emotional red flag for me, where I was having a fear. When I really sat with that fear, it was like, oh, okay, this is some stuff for me. This is about me. And I was able to sit and work through that, do my shadow work around it. And it was horrible during the time. I'm not even gonna lie, that shit was not fun. It was a lot of weepy emotional voice texts to Nique. It was a lot of that. But I'm glad I went through it. I'm really glad I went through it.
And it was worth it to, get to the other side to know what you really want. And you operate differently this time around. You grew a lot too, honestly, in that and just knowing what you want. But you always feel like you knew what you want and what you didn't want. But at that time, I think
But I
you were
was
dating without a
bullshitting.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have, but that time I don't feel you had a purpose, and it wasn't. It was just something that you were doing. I kind of even felt that in the moment it was something you was doing, but
Hmm.
again, I don't say something afterwards.
A lot of that was out of hurt, though. A lot of that was like
Yeah, I know it
hurt.
was. Going back to when we were talking about dating apps, and we can just you could try different ways to meet different people. I know that dating apps wasn't my thing, but I feel like that's the thing now. And when I am more open to dating, I think it could be an option for me,
Hmm.
even though it isn't something that I'm used to. Even like talking to my therapist, because I'm like, I don't even know how to meet new people. She was like, do you even go out? I said, nah, I don't go out. So like taking myself out, maybe even taking yourself out on a date, a solo date. You don't know who you're gonna run into. Don't go with the intention to do that. But you can go with the intention, whatever. But it's just like just put yourself out there, take walks in the park, go to a new place, discover new things while you're waiting for somebody to come around, dating yourself and doing things by yourself. You never know who you might run into. Or just business. I don't know. It could be in business too if you have a business, just interacting with other people.
Like
To
networking.
networking, that's what I say. Or going to networking events, actually.
Hmm.
You're in a bigger city, so they have those. And just putting yourself out there. I feel like if you're just more open to it and you put yourself out there, I think it will come. Mine was always random, very random.
Hmm.
But if you're more open to it, I think it will come.
Yeah, I definitely say, like again, I'm definitely a fan of meeting people in person or meeting people in a way that feels more organic because there's a lot of pressure when I think also when you go on the dating apps, like we talked about with flirting, like, oh gosh, she's definitely flirting, I have to flirt back, I have to blah, blah, blah. But I think when things are more organic, like I'm talking to you because we're networking and I'm asking you about your business and I happen to be like, oh, he has a really good smile while you're talking. And like while we're talking, you are like, she is like really funny. Okay. All right. Well, let me give you a referral. Let me call you on up. Whatever it is, like I think I like that a lot more. So, and I think also for a lot of other people, I think the issue with like meeting people outside of like apps is that it moves slower because you're not coming there to date. So people usually try to like take their time before they're like, let me ask for your number. Let me blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable, which is good. Please definitely do that. I definitely just had somebody ruin my favorite park. I like riding my bike, and I had a guy that helped me out with my bike. And then he was like riding next to me. And at first I was like, cool. And then he asked for my number and everything. Anyways, now I can't go back to my favorite part because all I wanted was to ride in peace. And he made it awkward. So there's definitely that. So I get why people are kind of like, let me feel around. Don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Don't want to make him feel uncomfortable. And we appreciate that. But I know for me, I do prefer like in-person type of things. So like you said, and it can be anywhere. It can be a date. You can go on a speed dating event. I did have a girlfriend that went to one of those and absolutely loved it, like had a ball.
I'm about to say, was it nice? Did you have fun?
She had fun, but it was well planned. Like apparently it was like months in advance because they wanted to make sure they had enough men, enough women. They also had certain standards, like you have to have certain things to go to this event. It was a very picky event, but she had fun. But also, again, I think just like putting yourself out there and not necessarily relying on the app so much. They're good for what they're good for. I think you can definitely meet people there. I think and I think also even when that is a little bit faster paced than what you may thought, like, okay, take it really slow, but maybe you do meet somebody, y'all do really like each other and it does feel genuine and so forth. Again, certain levels of like be an adult and be responsible, but don't necessarily like when there's no red flags about it. I'm not one to be like, oh girl, you need to pump the brakes because the dating rule 806 says you must make him blah 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 before he can walk you to your doorway or whatever. Like, no, just let it build naturally.
Yeah, so let it flow. Like, let it flow. I also feel like you could just be more open, but not like too open, but being open to date outside of your normal.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like, because you just never know. For example, like, originally, my like fiance wasn't originally like my type, quote unquote. I didn't like bald guys. Like,
Mm.
he had to add on these, like, oh, you're bald. I don't want to talk to you. Like, I was thinking out of my head, I didn't like guys with children. That was something I was big on. And he had both of those things. So it's just like, it didn't like what was before didn't really work for me. It didn't work for me at all. And it might not work for you. That might be why you're single. That might be why you were heartbroken. Just being open a little bit. Just a little bit. You don't have
Just
to
a
be
little
open,
bit. Just a little bit.
But yeah, be
Yeah.
open.
Yeah, I definitely think the idea of like, oh, this is my type can keep you stuck in a loop. And I think you got to be careful of that, especially when your quote unquote type is based on superficial things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one thing to be like, my type is emotionally mature people. Like, yes, no, stick with that, sis.
Stay with that. Yeah.
It's another thing to be like, I like guys who have blonde frosted tips, tattoos of wolves, and a goatee. Like, that's too specific. And I feel like all those things are a red flag together. Like, individually they would have been fine, but you put that in one man, like, sis, you test and fire.
Right.
I think it's always good to keep your like core values, you know, like for me, my core things is like, I like smart dudes. I love smart dudes. I love dudes who can teach me stuff. I love dudes without being condescending, without being like a prick about it. Like, they are just naturally like, oh, hey, baby. Yeah, no, let me put you on game. Let me help you out. I love guys who are funny. Humor is a big thing to me. That's something I know I could not date anybody if they couldn't laugh at themselves, if they didn't have a sense of humor. That's already a no-go. Like, I no spark would even fly. Things like that. I love passionate guys. I love intense guys. So that might be something I need to reconsider. But those are things I know that I do like. But like, that's not to say get rid of those things, right?
Yeah.
It's to say to get rid of like, and while I like that, I do typically also go for tatted up bearded dudes. That I love seeing a nice beard and great tats. Love a great tattoo on a beard, and you're funny and educated. What are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? But being open to the possibility, like the last person I took serious did not have tattoos at all. In fact, my longest relationship was with somebody who does not have any tattoos, never wants to get tattoos, and does not have a beard either. And it was a good relationship though. And being open to that, being open to the fact, like, okay, but do they have the core things I need? Are they, you know, kind? Are they attentive to my needs? Those things. But, you know, maybe opening up on some of the more superficial things. Like, sis, you 5 foot, why does he need to be 6'7"? Why? He's not for you. It's okay. Michael here is funny. He's articulate. He is just your type, and he's 5'4", and that is enough for you to wear heels. Go be happy with him.
Yeah, I think my thing that be stopping me is the short ones, but
look. Can I just say quickly?
For a short one though.
But can I just say quickly? Me and Nique have both been to a psychic, and they had told Nique that that her person was gonna be short. But she told me that my person was going to be like, she was like, I know you like low-key people. He is not low-key. He's not low-key at all. And in fact, he's not, he's the exact opposite of low-key. And I was just like, I don't like how I'm feeling about that. But also, you got told that your person's going to be short. Are you going to be open? I'll be open if you'll be open.
I was open before. I dated someone short before. It was very random and very spontaneous, but we had like such great conversations. Like, and that's the thing that gets me. We can like vibe and have good conversations, and we just get each other the same wavelength. But he was short.
So okay, so you'll be open. You're gonna be open to your short king. I appreciate. I'm gonna be. I would be open to my all up in the mixed sky. All up in the mix.
I don't even see you being all up in the mix guy.
I know.
You would just be like, it's like you would think that was a turn off.
I do. I very much do. I very much do. But you know what? Stranger things have happened in my love life. So but you know what? No, I have dated guys who actually, especially I've dated a couple. My high school sweetheart. He was a rapper, a gang leader. He was always doing something. And
loved you.
And I loved him. I did. So yeah, you with your short king. I'ma be open to Mr. Out and About in a city popping. It's my thing. At least with that, for me, a big thing of it is like, as long as you know who you're dating and you make considerations for me, knowing like that's not me. So like, don't pull me out in the middle of the dance floor in front of everybody trying to get me to dance knowing I don't like that shit. You know? Like, I know that's you, so I'm not going to be like, let's stay home and cuddle every night, because I know you like to go out sometimes, and that's fine. And so sometimes I will go.
You gotta dance sometimes too with him.
No, I don't dance. We'll dance to Marvin Gaye in the living room with a bottle of Pinot, okay? Not even real Pinot, like no, some Stella Rose Black. That's what we got, okay?
Exactly.
Stella Rose Black, a Rice Krispie edible. Like, that's what we slow dance, okay? Balance. But no, I think also be open, because I think also a lot of times we're like, okay, this is my type. Okay, but what has been your experience with that type? I was talking to someone recently that was talking to me about this. They're like, this is my type, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, And then we just talk about all the trauma your type has put you through. Because there's a certain thing that's attached to that type. And the type that we were talking about, there was a lot of these traits that like all together built like the perfect asshole. Separately, not so much, but like, it was like, I like assertive men, and it was really aggressive. And I was like, and I like when they're only nice to me, but they're mean to everybody else. Yeah, because they're just not a nice person. They really aren't even that nice to you. Like going through that list, I'm like, wait, so how did that type work out though? It didn't. It sounded good, but the reality is that type in us don't ever lead to anything everlasting.
I don't even see how that's supposed to work out. Yeah. No.
So be a little bit open. Again, don't change your core values, but there may be things that aren't necessarily core values that you might find out after a while, like it's actually kind of endearing. It's kind of cute. I mean, it may not be what you're used to, but you're like, this is actually not a big deal. And the good outweighs all the things that you thought weren't for you. Yeah. With that said, I'm not promoting settling. That's not what I'm saying when I say be open.
No. Just be open, but you still know what you want and what you don't. Because I wouldn't be settling for a short man if he reached everything else.
I love how you said reach. Yeah. No. Why are you like this? Someday it's gonna be 5 years from now, and you and your 5'6" king gonna be listening to this. He's just gonna be staring at you like, is this what you think of me?
Baby, we 2 kids in the game. We married. Don't even come at me. Like, it's cool. You got it. Okay.
So while you're getting back ready today, a big part of that is making sure you are ready for what dating entails. And dating entails communication, listening. It's not all about you. And as if you're dating for commitment, you're dating for something more serious, it requires vulnerability. And you got to be ready to give those things. If me saying those things to you right now made you be like, ooh, then maybe we need to evaluate if we're ready to date.
That is true.
I think this is probably the hardest ones for me, especially when I was like first thinking about getting back into dating, was that vulnerability part and the communication part. Like, I can listen. I don't follow instructions, but I listen. But it's that communication part, vulnerable part. And I've spoken this before. I shut down love intensity. I do. But if it gets to the point it makes me feel vulnerable, I shut down. So communicating is hard for me because I am really big on like just leaving a situation. Like get mad and just be like, I'm just not gonna text back. Or you're blocked and just going about my life.
That blocked is the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. So like that, I think it was the part that kind of scared me because it was like, no, now you have to tell people why you're no longer interested, or you have to like communicate why you all of a sudden don't want to go on a date today. Like you can't just be like, either he figure out, or I guess I am here from the morning, whatever. You have to be like, hey, not feeling it today. Today feels kind of weird. I heard 6 planets are in retrograde. Give me a week. Like I have to do that now. And that goes back into with the vulnerability part. I think that's the one that scared me the most, because it's that giving up control part.
Yeah.
To be vulnerable means I have to give up control. I have to try to come in dating without manipulation. I think that's something that was hard for me to admit for a long time. Like, I'm not manipulative. And then I was like, yes, the fuck you are. Like, when you get mad, when you there's a couple of times where I'm like, no, you can do that. And it was to avoid communication. It was to avoid vulnerability. It was all tactics to avoid those things. And so it was like, nope, you have to love. You have to love without trying to control the love. And yeah, just trust that this person is going to do the right thing for you and the right thing by you, because I plan on doing the right thing for you. And I plan on doing the right thing by you. And just hoping that like, okay, and I hope that you feel the same, and I hope that you're going to do the same. And I hope that, every day you're waking up with that in mind. And the fact of the matter is, though, people can wake up and decide they don't want to, and that can hurt. And
it can.
And now what are we going to do with that hurt? And recognizing like that's a possibility, and still deciding like, okay, but if I say I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. And I'm deciding that if that's the possibility, that's just something that comes with it. And because I want the real intimacy, I want the real vulnerability and all that stuff, I have to just roll the dice on that and hope that I'm a damn good gambler. I hope you're a good ass gambler too.
Well, look at you. Look at that. Yeah, before it wasn't hard for me to be vulnerable, but that's the thing. Taking on dating, I have to be more open to it and being open to communicate my needs and wants. So knowing that that person doesn't just get it, I have to communicate those things, and being open to actually listening to them communicate to me too, and not just like being quiet and letting them talk, but not listening to a thing and waiting for my chance to go back. That's what I need to say. So it's all about just being ready for all those things that come with it. And I know right now I'm not, so I'm not going to apply that pressure anyway. So, yeah.
Applying that pressure, like being willing to apply pressure when you meet that person. I think that's another thing too, because I feel like I don't know if this has happened to you, but I know this has definitely happened to me where I've dated somebody and then I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what you're doing. I don't like the uncertainty. And I leave, and then they're like, I was gonna marry you. You like, sir, you was not applying pressure. I don't know. You
at all.
Why after the fact are you now like, but we were in love, were we? I don't remember having this conversation. Don't remember ever saying that to you. You gotta also make sure your actions are they're matching with what you're saying you want. Like, don't come and be like, okay, I really, really like her, but I don't want her to think she got it like that. So I'm gonna be real lax and cool. Like, all right, sir, I got ADHD. I will forget. This is a thing.
And I will move on to the next thing.
Look, I will move on to peace and quiet again.
Yes.
And I promise you, it's so much harder to compete with my peace and quiet than it is for you to compete with another man.
My peace. Yeah, my peace. Yeah.
Way more.
Yes.
So also, when you're out there, apply pressure, but also ladies as well. Like, if this is what you want, I think there's no problem with applying a little pressure and making it known, like, no, I'm for real. Of course, if there's some levels to that. Then inbox his mom on Facebook. You don't need to do all that. But there's ways I feel like we can also, on our side, let it be known, like, no, I am feeling you. I really like what we have together. And I don't play about you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the last thing to keep in mind when jumping back in the dating pool after you haven't dated in a while is keep in mind your safety. This is sometimes I think when you haven't dated for a long time, people who don't spend their Saturdays listening to true crime kind of forget about. You have to keep that safety factor. This is for females and males because guys, y'all be going with y'all. They use a girl on like Bumble will have a picture of some Instagram model and be like, come over today. Y'all be like, yep. And then y'all get set up to be robbed. I want y'all to stop doing that.
Yeah, because it's becoming often. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a safety hazard. Keep your safety in mind. Women as well. Like, stop meeting up with these dudes you don't know in private.
Coming straight to your house. Like,
yeah, coming straight to your house to pick you up. Yeah, things like that. Like, have your own ride. Have your own ride so you can leave as well. Things go left. I am not waiting for you. I'm not waiting for Uber. I can get in my car and go.
Some guys invite you straight to the house. Like, I had that happen to me on a Bumble, maybe. And that was the first thing he said. I'm like, if this don't sound like a crazy person, like, no, I want to drink, so sit back and drink wine. I don't know you. Like, this is your first sentence you said to me. Like, just be conscious and listen to your intuition and just be safe, like you said.
Yeah, be safe. Recognize red flags. If your gut tells you something feels off, then it feels off. Listen to your gut. I hate when I hear people say things like, I don't know, I feel like my intuition was doing this, but like, I don't know, I feel like I was just tripping. Like, listen, you have intuition for a reason.
Yeah.
Listen to it.
You were not tripping.
So don't discount your intuition.
At all.
Well, guys, that is all we have for today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy. We will have a new episode on next Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy. But if you need to reach out to us and get in contact with us, our email is shewolfalchemypodcast@gmail.com. Other than that, guys, you know where to reach us, and we will have a new episode for you next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.